Welcome to our live edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline in the BPTV studio. Thanks for watching us. We appreciate that. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. Chip Hayner's right here with me. Smoking Jim Frazier, unfortunately, is still on the mend. No, I do not know what's wrong with him. He did send me a text the other day that he's getting better. I told him I had a boxing match on May 3rd. He said, I'll be there. So I'm optimistic. Your prayers have been answered. He's healing up. Whatever ailed him, he's healing.
I heard from him yesterday morning. Breaking news. Told me the curse of flurry.
He's insane with that. He told me the same thing. He told me that too. But yeah, we'll talk some sports later on. But keep your prayers coming for Smoking Jim Frazier, and hopefully we'll get him back maybe in a couple weeks. I don't know when or how, or if he got a car since it was totaled and he was in that trauma unit for 3 days. I don't know what he injured, but we'll figure that out later. But we got some sports for you tonight. I want to thank all of you for watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. Thanks for watching us in Bethel Park on Verizon 32, all the way from Nemacolin to Cranberry, Wexford, and all points in between. We appreciate that. Thanks for all the Facebook likes. Means you watch our show and like our page. 6,863 likes. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. And we got a lot of sports to talk with you tonight. We do have a couple sponsors. I'm going to bring that up. Olive Oil's Pizzeria at Hillcrest Shopping Center, 412-831-1900. Gives us an extra large pizza and a steak hoagie. It's delicious. Thanks to Frank Fanera. And give them a call there at 412-831-1900, right in Hillcrest. Next, there's the Bethel Park Historical Society Schoolhouse Arts and History Center, 2600 South Park Road. You can't miss it. The big old red trolleys there. They run out the building. They have different events. Different things are going on. The coffee shop's supposed to open. I'm not sure when, but they're supposed to have a coffee shop there, so check that out. Next, we end each show with Stay Joey Strong in honor of Joey Fabus, who died before his 9th birthday with the dreaded cancer, DIPG. They've raised over $100,000 for finding a cure for DIPG. I give the family and friends a lot of credit. They got an event coming up at the community center on May 17th at 7 o'clock, a night at the races. $20 to get in. I think it's $10 for a horse, and you can win $40. All the money goes to find a cure for DIPG. Stay Joey Strong and check out the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. Next is the Bethel Park Community Foundation, bpcf.org. I don't know if you can give me an adjustment on this. What happened there, guys? There we go. I like looking at my face there, but this is what I'm talking about. You can get $100 to $5,000 for your group that's doing great things in Bethel Park. You can get an application, come on in there. I'm one of the trustees on the board. A lot of money goes through. We gave out over $100,000 last year, so check it out. There's different scholarship funds and everything else to students in the area. It's a good cause, and they have a great group there, and a lot of things are happening. Well, Dave Cable likes to have a little fun at my expense. He put my face on Uncle Sam. Tell them Uncle Al sent you. Give BPTV a call. I want you for BPTV, 412-831-3304. That's again, I want you for BPTV. We got Steve here. We got Zach. We got Jack. They're all doing the sound, the audio, the video, you name it. Keeping us on point, even running the commercials. That we do shows on location, off location, so you could have those opportunities to run a camera and go out there and help Dave Cable. Give him a call, 412-831-3304. And we're also sponsored by Skeets Lewandowski of What's on Your Mind. And that's 724-348-4715. They're right past Trax Farm in Mineral Beach. It's a red, white, and blue station. I was just there the other day, got a photo, posted it up on Facebook. I was wearing Mike Murray, the legendary MMA guy and boxer, was wearing his T-shirt. He fought in the first MMA fight in the country, and that was held in Pittsburgh, believe it or not. We're known for that. All right, we're ready to start the show. I got a question for Chip Hayner. What's on your mind?
Well, thank you, Alan, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to our show. Tonight we've got Bucks and we've got Pucks.
Oh, yeah.
And the Pirates are bottom of the second inning. We're beating the Detroit Tigers 1-0. Got off to a good start. Joe Musgrove's on the mound.
Nice.
And we'll monitor the game as it goes on. Penguins drop the puck in about 25 minutes. But
well, they're saying the start is about 7:40.
I have been nothing but opinionated since
Whoa.
I've been on this show.
Don't change tonight, then. Don't change.
These 8 long years. And 8 long years ago, I made quite a bold prediction. And I humbly have to admit that I was wrong.
I'm going to bring that point up. Go ahead.
8 years ago, I said that Tiger Woods would never win another major golf tournament. And lo and behold, Tiger Woods won the Masters this past weekend.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Tiger Woods. It was a well-earned victory. It certainly was not handed to him. But that just gets all these people, like, for the last 11 years, all the Tiger lovers, I've heard nothing but crickets from him, because he's been nothing shy of a train wreck. And I'm not a very big fan of Tiger Woods. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of things that I find distasteful about him, to put it mildly. And, one of the things that bothers me more than others is now everybody's coming out of the woodwork and they're saying, Tiger Woods, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. And, it just makes me laugh because, as it's well documented, I'm a historian of sports.
Sure.
I've studied the history of most of the major sports: football, baseball, basketball, hockey, as well as golf. And yes, Tiger Woods may be the best golfer of his generation, but there's a new generation of golfers that are going to make their mark that are equally good or better. But, when I look at the greatest of all time in the sport of golf, Tiger Woods doesn't come to mind. The person that comes to mind that I feel is the greatest of all time would be none other than the Golden Bear, Jack Nicklaus. And Jack Nicklaus, he did set the gold standard with 18 major championships, and Tiger has now won 15. So people think that if he matches Jack's record, that he would become the greatest of all time. But I think what separated Jack Nicklaus from every other golfer of every other era, not only did he win 18 major championships, in just the major championships themselves, he came in second place 32 times in his career. And at that, I dropped the mic. But when your resume can be equaled or equivalent or greater than that, I'll listen to your conversation about who's the greatest. Tiger's very good, maybe the best of his generation, but not the greatest of all time. That's what's on my mind.
There you go. Well, this weekend, I saw the Masters was on, and I'm flicking around on the Masters, checking it out. Ignored it for a couple days. Then on Sunday, I'm listening to The Fan, and they go, Tiger Woods won the Masters. So I'm like, oh, that's wild. So I put on TV, and I'm watching the replay of the Masters. Mm-hmm. And I'm noticing Tiger's behind, by a couple shots, 2-3 shots. Then he's getting close to even. So here I am. My dad was a big fan of Tiger. Didn't really like golf until Tiger started playing. And I'd say, what about the steroids he's on? And he goes, what do you mean? He's on steroids. I go, look at how he's bulked up and hitting the ball. Then he started having some issues and stuff. Well, my dad passed away 8 years ago, so he didn't get to see the comeback of Tiger's, but he was probably smiling up there in heaven when Tiger made some nice shots. His putting game was pretty good. He had some nice drives around, just had a good all-around game. And then I watched an interview afterwards with Jim Nance, and he was actually pretty personable during the interview. So, maybe he's redeemed himself, because he did have a lot of issues, should we say, that he got some help for on some of them, went through a divorce, and they were saying how his kids got to see him win the Masters, another
Sure.
major, which, hey, that's nice when you have kids and stuff like that. So he came full circle. Some people said, like Chip, that he never would do it again. I never said that. I said he got a lot of years ahead of him. Who knows? He could heal up. Once you get off the steroids and things happen to you, you got to heal up again. And that's some of what happened. He had to change his stroke and how he swings the ball and different
5
things like
back
that.
surgeries, 3 knee surgeries.
Right. It happens.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
No, they're all legitimate. They're all excuses, and it's one of the reasons people don't last or don't make it. But he is a determined individual, and he did come back to win the Masters, first time since 2005. So,
And I'll go out on a limb again. I say this will be his last major championship win.
I can't concur with you.
I'm not sorry. I'm not going to fall into the love fest. It's just not my style.
Well, I don't love him, but I do watch him when he plays, because he's been quite the athlete playing the game, and just his ability and his mindset and how he scared plenty of guys in losing and beating them. But those things happen. But he's back for 1 week. We'll see what happens after that. I won't rule out another major. I will say that, Chip. So we'll see what happens. Coming attractions, we're going to come back with Chip's Trivia Time.
Well, good evening, everybody. And, I mentioned tonight we got Bucks, we got pucks. The Penguins dropped the puck against the New York Islanders this evening. And can history be rewritten?
Only 4 teams have.
Actually, only 2 in the National Hockey League.
Whoa.
The third would have been the 2004 Boston Red Sox. And we'll get into that. But the Penguins are down 3-0 to the New York Islanders. And if you looked at the way they played on Sunday, it looks like the Penguins have tea times made tomorrow morning. Okay, does that mean that they're going to lay down and quit this evening? I would think not. They still are a recent champion, and I do believe they have the heart of a champion. They have been playing just awful hockey, poor defense, poor puck management, so on and so forth. So the Penguins have themselves in a hole. They're down 3-0. And is the Penguins coming out of this hole and winning the series is unlikely, but it's not impossible. And as a matter of fact, I would like to revisit a couple of times where a 3-0 deficit has been erased in the NHL, and the things were changed. Yeah. And the first one, I go all the way back to 1942.
Whoa,
that's 1942. With the playoffs here, not too many coaches or players are thinking about 1942 or 1975. And I'm sure 1975 has been mentioned quite a lot, but we'll get there, okay? Because of the old playoff philosophy that you can only play a game at a time, but there is one playoff adage that everyone knows in a best-of-7 series. Don't fall behind 3-0. It's nearly impossible for a team to down 3-0 in a best-of-7 series to come back and win. Until 1975, only the 1942 Toronto Maple Leafs were able to accomplish this feat. Detroit had won the first 3 games of the Stanley Cup final. But the Leafs' Don Metz, who sat out the first 3 games as a scratch, was one of the main reasons the Leafs got back in the series, as he scored 4 goals and added 3 assists after Coach Hapday inserted him into the lineup for Game 4. They shut out the Wings in Game 6, and the Leafs got a big effort out of Sweeney, who scored twice in the third period, to help the Leafs win Game 7 in the Cup 3-1. It was the first time a team in any North American sports playoffs had overcome a 3-0 deficit to win a series. In 1975, the New York Islanders under legendary coach Al Arbor. And his players weren't thinking about the 1942 Maple Leafs. As the Islanders captain Ed Westfall recalled, players on the then 3-year-old franchise weren't students of histories. The Islanders finished the season with 88 points, 32 points better than the season before, and more points than the team had in any season combined. The Islanders faced the New York Rangers in a best-of-3 first round, winning Game 1 at Madison Square Garden 3-2. But the Rangers came back and tied the series with an 8-3 win at Nassau Coliseum, which set up the series decider at the Garden. The teams were tied at 3 after regulation, and the Islanders faced playoff elimination for the first time in the franchise's brief history. In a hostile environment at the Garden, but the Islanders scored 11 seconds into overtime, and a lot of people missed the game-winning tally as they were getting back to their seats.
Whoa.
No, they were probably out getting a beer or in the bathroom, said Westfall. That was myself and J.P. Paris and Brent Marshall on the defense. We had a lot of young, speedy players back then, but Al Arbor chose us to start the overtime, put the experience on the ice.
Wow.
Of the playoffs against the Pittsburgh Penguins in what would turn out to be a historic series, Pittsburgh finished the season with 89 points, one more than the Islanders, and the series opened at the Igloo. The Penguins won the first 2 games of the series 5-4 and 3-1. It took Game 3 at Nassau Coliseum 6-4. The Islanders won Game 4 3-1 and took Game 5 back in Pittsburgh. The Islands evened the series with a 4-1 win in Game 6 on Long Island. Game 7 turned out to be a classic, with the Islanders facing elimination for the 5th time in the playoffs. Goaltender Chico Resch shut down the Penguins, a team that had a 43-goal scorer in Jean Pronovo and a pair of 30-goal scorers, Vic Hadfield, Pierre LaRouche, and Rick Kehoe. Resch was good and lucky. Pittsburgh hit 2 posts, and Westfall scored the only goal of the contest. After the game, Resch, living up to the goaltender stereotype, went back on the ice and kissed the goalposts, which he thought were his best defensemen that night. We were kissing anything that would bring us good luck, Westfall said with a laugh. We were a hard-working team that wasn't successful, but was very successful starting in '75, and for the next 10 years, probably the best franchise in the league.
Wow.
And if people don't remember, the Islanders did win 4 cups in a row. You think about winning 4 championships in a row.
Rare.
That is rare air that they were in.
I remember that year because I was a Penguin fan, and watching that it sucked.
Yep. The Islanders scored their place in history with an overtime win against the Rangers and a come-from-behind victory against the Penguins. But the Islanders would tempt fate again in the next round of the playoffs. New York went to Philadelphia for a series with the defending Stanley Cup champion Flyers. Once again, the Islanders fell into a 3-0 series hole. But the Islanders won Game 4 at the Coliseum in overtime, went down into Philadelphia and won Game 5. In Game 6, the 8th time the Islanders faced elimination, New York won 2-1, which set up Game 7 in Philadelphia. And I remember this series because I was a huge Philadelphia Flyers fan. The Broad Street Bullies, Dave the Hammer Schultz, Rick Leach, Bobby Clark, Bernie Perrant in net.
Legendary.
Okay? We're a hard-working team that was very successful. Okay, yeah, there you go. The Flyers brass decided the team needed more than just playing Kate Smith's God Bless America, which seemingly worked to perfection for them. But the Flyers went on to win their 2nd consecutive Stanley Cup that year. And the Islanders wrote history with the subsequent years. So that begs to say, what is the one accomplishment that Sidney Crosby does not have on his resume?
Whoa.
He has never captained a team that came back from a 3-0 deficit.
Wow.
Can it be tonight? Can this be the beginning? We'll see.
I hope so. All right, thanks, Chip. On location, we'll be back at Olive Oil's Pizzeria May 13th, 7:30 to 8:30 at 930 Brookline Boulevard. Come on out. Frank Fanera usually has some specials going on there. They have a pasta and special going on Tuesdays and Thursday nights. Maybe they'll have a pasta special on when our show's on. Who knows? Come on out. We're lining up some guests for the show. We could have some names like Daryl Sammartino, Larry Richard, Dan Bogan. We'll see if they can make it this time. They told me they could and would, so I'm going to announce that. And then we're looking at a location, Jose Caraballo of Ray Schaefer Boxing Association in Sharpsburg asked if we wanted to do a show in Millvale at the old VFW. It's a 100-year-old building. And he said we could do our show up in the ring. We're talking about doing a future show or two, maybe 3, in Millvale. So stay tuned for that. We'll be on location there. And thanks for the great feedback from the Oaks Theater. Got a lot of great compliments on the interview. I posted it up on my Facebook page. I'll post it up on Pittsburgh Sportsline shortly, and you can hear the interview. It went for an hour and 43 minutes, Chip. So you had the talking machine and Sid Bream talking. And we covered a lot of ground. We had people asking questions, and just was a fun night. And coming attraction, the Oaks Theater liked it so much, and the people there enjoyed it, that they're going to have me do an interview. We're not sure when, but with Cyril Wecht at the Oaks Theater. So stay tuned for the talking machine and Cyril Wecht, coming attractions on location. And we'll be back with, we're looking at talking some Pirates on the back end.
Deliver the press.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for not changing that dial. We got some Pirate talk. The Pirates have surprised us with their pitching. Starting pitching has been great. You know, the management's put all their money into the team they had, so they didn't have to change much except for a few tweaks. And look what we have. We have one of the lowest ERAs in the league, I think, like second.
Best pitching staff in the majors. And
Yes.
it just goes to show you it doesn't matter how much you pay your starting pitching staff.
You need them.
You know,
You need good ones.
You need good ones. You've got Joe Musgrove on the mound tonight against the Detroit Tigers. He has a 0.0 ERA for
And
the
he's not
season.
stuttering, folks. He's telling the truth.
0.0. You know, it's one of the biggest surprises. You know, you think about what the Pirates are at right now. They're 8-6.
Yeah.
Okay. They're right in the midst of it. You know, you look at our division, and you know, even the Brewers, who everybody's picking to run away with the division, they're 11-5.
Yeah.
Okay. They have 5 losses themselves. They have.
And this is all against the teams in our division, too.
Well,
So it's a tough time of year where if you're doing well now, it bodes well for later in the year.
And you know, we're in the midst of an 8-game road trip. We're 3-3. We took 2 out of 3 in Washington. We lost 2 out of 3 in Chicago. You know, of all the games the Pirates have played this year, all 14, 13 of the games the Pirates are in.
Yeah.
The Pirates have had a little trouble with their middle relief. And I think that's something that's going to work itself out. You've got some people that are injured. Pirates got Kyle Crick back tonight. He was supposed to be the 8th inning man.
Yeah.
Keone Kella has hitting some rough patches.
He's been throwing some home run balls.
And Rodriguez has been giving up the gopher ball as well.
Same thing.
They've given up some leads. So, you know, they've been given the leads late in games. And, I think this is something that the Pirates are going to work out. But here's the interesting thing. 2/3 of the Pirates' starting outfield has not played yet this year.
Right.
Okay, you've got Corey Dickinson, who's been out with a sore shoulder.
Sure.
He's healing up. And you had Lonnie Chisenhall, who was supposed to start in right field. Now, I think one of the master strokes that Neil Huntington pulled off this past winter was they signed Melky Cabrera to a minor league contract, invited him to camp with a chance to make the team. Oh, by the way, Melky Cabrera is batting over 400.
Yeah.
Got another hit tonight.
And he's playing some good ball in the
And
field.
he's playing decent ball in the field. Tonight they've got him as the designated hitter. They've got the two young guys, Pablo Reyes in left, and they've got J.B. Shuck in right field. And these are two players that really they should be playing for the Indianapolis Indians. They should not be starting on the Major League club, but because of injuries, they are. Now, Gregory Polanco, who is now down in Indianapolis, his rehab is progressing very nicely.
Sure.
And, he's ahead of schedule. But here's the problem. He's swinging the bat pretty good, but he's swinging the bat against AAA pitching. And there is a large difference between the pitchers that you face in AAA and what you see in the majors.
Oh, without a doubt.
So, Gregory Polanco, we're looking for him to get back. And if he can get back and swing the bat like he was before he got hurt last year, it would be a huge boost to the Pirates' offense. Talking about the Pirates' offense, right now it begins with Melky Cabrera, and then what's driving the Pirates' offense? Josh Bell. Josh Bell is hitting the ball like he did when he was a rookie.
He just started to come alive.
And when Alan and I were talking about this last week, Josh Bell is never going to be a Gold Glove first baseman, okay? And I can accept that. But if this kid can give us 25 to 30 home runs, drive in 90 or 100 RBIs, he is worth playing every day.
Sure.
Okay? Because whatever mistakes he makes up in the field, he's going to make up for with his bat.
Yeah.
And he's just as hot as it can be. He's batting over 300, leading the team in RBIs.
Yeah.
And the way he's hitting the ball.
Powerful.
When you hear the ball hit the bat, you can tell he's making solid contact. And Melky Cabrera has found the fountain of youth. At 34 years old, he's playing a solid outfield. He's not somebody that you can play 6-7 days in a row. No,
you got to rest him.
You got to rest him. But I mean, this is a guy that's, he was out of work. Nobody wanted him, and Neil Huntington offered him a chance to make the team in spring training, and
he did that.
Thank goodness the Pirates have him. So there's some real good things going. There are some things that could use improvement with the Pirates, and first and foremost, Jung-Ho Kang is 0 for his last 18. He's batting less than 100 at this point. He's
looks
not
bad
even
at the
halfway
plate.
To the Mendoza line.
No.
And at this point, interesting thing I found out this past weekend is that Jung-Ho Kang still has 2 options available.
Whoa.
So he can be sent back down to the Myers without having to clear waivers.
Oh, that's good.
And, I would think that at some point to help get him back on track, and, I think the only way that he can get back on track is to play every day.
He needs to get in the groove, so if you're doing a
but
daily routine.
But if you need to play him in AAA.
Right.
I would, and I know that there's this, you've got Cabrian Hayes down there in AAA, and he was tearing the cover off the ball. I would honestly bring him up. I mean, Colin Moran has hit the ball well, but he doesn't. He's not a very good fielder. And Cabrian Hayes is the real deal. And I know that if you bring him up now, you're going to lose a year of service out of him. But if the kid's ready for the show,
let him play.
Let him play. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I think that would be kind of a bold move at this point. I think you give Kang a chance to work it out, but I would not give him a chance and lose games
at
the Major League level.
He looks so bad at the plate.
He's
he's just out of sync completely. I've watched him.
He's misreading the spin on the ball.
Yeah, he's just not even close to it.
And Colin Moran has performed real well. 2 pinch hit home runs so far this year. Big home runs at big moments. And, but I mean, Colin Moran just leaves a little bit to be desired in the field. He doesn't have much range. And with a third baseman, you can get away with that if the guy's swinging a bat.
You hit 30 home runs. Guess what? We'll look away on that one, too.
We'll look away on that one. But, the power positions right now that we're not getting the production out of, third base, left field. Corey Dickinson, we were expecting to get some of that power out of. He's been injured. Melky Cabrera has been a pleasant surprise with what he's playing in right field. Starling Marte hasn't got his motor going yet.
No, he's a streaky hitter, so it's just a matter of time.
Eric Gonzalez and Kevin Newman, they've got a ways to go at shortstop. Kevin Newman had a particularly horrible Monday last week. Saturday he was the star of the team.
Yeah.
He had the walk-off hit at the bottom of the top, bottom of the 10th.
Yeah.
And it was great, and it was great to see the joy that young man had. But then he, on Monday, he has 3 errors in 1 inning. And the Pirates went from
1 inning.
Gave up 6 runs. And he went from the hero to the GOAT.
Not the official GOAT.
and I was mentioning something to Alan on my way in today. I heard a comment made, and I think this applies to baseball very well. In the game of baseball, there's 2 kinds of people: those that are humble and those that are soon to be. And I think.
Well, he's down in the minors right now.
They sent Kramer down.
Okay, Kramer.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Newman stayed.
I
Kramer
get Newman,
went.
Kramer, and Seinfeld mixed up.
Yeah, we do. That's the But right now, Eric Gonzalez was supposed to be a better rangy shortstop.
Disappointing.
Cover more great, and he can't hit a lick. And how much longer? Can we do that? And I know once again you got to let the kid play. You just hope that he doesn't cost you too many games.
If he's that good of a fielder, maybe it'll come to the rise to the top.
Adam Frazier has been solid as a second baseman.
He has.
He's not a Gold Glove second baseman, but the kid is a good leadoff batter.
And he's turning double plays once in a while, which that's hard to do when you're not used to double play.
Well, this was one of the things that helped Neil Walker become a great double play combo guy, was that you're learning from one of the best. Bill Mazeroski still comes down and works with the infielders in spring
work on
training.
that pivot.
Bill Mazeroski did it better than anybody.
Yeah, he was smooth.
There are so many people that complain that he's in the Hall of Fame, and I do feel that your defense can get you into the Hall.
Means something, sure.
Think about how many games the Pirates won because of his defensive prowess.
Definitely.
But,
him and Gene Alley, I got fond memories of those two.
Yes, I do.
Turning a double play.
Yes, sir. The gunner used to call it the Hoover job.
Yeah.
Right?
Leave it to the gunner. He would mention the Hoover.
Yes, he would. So, Pirates got 2 games in Detroit. You got a day off, and then we've got 3 against San Francisco. And then we've got, I believe, 4 against the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
And I'll be down at the ballpark Saturday for a 5 game, cheering on my Buccos. The team's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I will tell you this, as the temperature's warm and school lets out and they keep on winning, the seats are going to get filled. I mean, winning cures a lot of ills.
Definitely.
If we could just stay off the narrative about hating the owner. The owner wants to win as much as anybody else. But what he's not going to do is he's not going to spend money that, foolishly.
Like I keep saying, I watched the Pirates for years, never even cared who the owner was. Put competitive players on the field, and we have them. Enjoy the game.
And the thing you have to understand about this team, the 2019 Pittsburgh Pirates, it's a young team. The reason why, if people are concerned about the payroll's so low because we have so many players that aren't even yet arbitration eligible.
Right, and they're years away.
And that's great because it means we've got a chance to watch these players mature and develop. I remember back in 2011, after Hurdle became manager and started watching a young core group of players, Andrew McCutchen, Neil Walker, Jordy Mercer, and I watched these guys grow up and become good major league players. And yes, It was great that we went to playoffs 3 years ago. And it was heartbreaking when they kind of fell apart. But that's just the way the game is. If you notice, teams have about a 3 or 4 year window to be really good. And then after that, the pieces got to start being sold off. The teams that are spending the most money, like the Phillies, they didn't learn when they signed Ryan Howard to a big contract.
Way
it
back
took them
in the
11
day.
years before they could get financially solvent again. And what they do, they're going to spend $330 million on Bryce Harper.
Sure.
And I just don't think Bryce Harper's going to be a guy that's going to raise a World Series
Well,
trophy.
they're putting
in
some
Philadelphia.
fannies in the seats right now, so they're recouping some of that money right at this point.
They will.
And that's what they're looking at.
They
That's the
will,
dollars.
I get all that, but and you got to take into account Philadelphia's a huge market.
Yeah.
One of the biggest in the country. Pittsburgh pales in comparison.
Oh, no doubt.
They don't have anywhere the size of the television market. They don't
No.
have any size of the television revenue. And to get to, one of the biggest problems in Major League Baseball right now is the inequity that exists.
The
in
haves and
revenue.
have-nots.
Because, they don't have true profit sharing like you have in the NFL, where television money is pooled
Right.
and equally distributed amongst all the teams.
Right.
And you've got teams that get their own local TV contracts,
Special
and they
deals.
don't share. And, when you've got teams in your own division that have multi-billion-dollar television deals and you don't,
Yeah.
you do the best with what you got. And I think the Pirates get more out of less than anybody else in baseball, unless you look at some teams like the Oakland A's.
Yeah.
They seem to be
Kansas City
consistently
at
good.
times.
Well, Kansas City, they went all in.
Yeah.
And now they're in their
They're in
third
a
or fourth
downswing,
year of being bottom feeders. And is that really what you want to see? Be great for 2 years, win a championship, spend the next 8 years being a bottom feeder? I like a team that's competitive every year.
Yeah, well, we're spoiled here with Steelers, Penguins. We're hoping for the Pirates, and, I'm hopeful they put a good team out in the field, which is nice to watch and see what they do.
Oh, and speaking of the Pirates, bottom of the fourth inning, Pirates are up 3-0. Jung Ho Gong homers to center field with Josh Bell on base. So there we go.
Hey, that's it. We asked for some
We
help.
asked for some help. They, they played them tonight, and apparently they guessed right. So maybe this helps.
Don't send them down. Keep them up.
Joe Musgrove's putting up zeros once again.
No, that's great.
Thanks
for that update.
No.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah,
We're
sure
just
thing.
talking about it.
Yeah, and exactly. And I'm glad to share that.
Speaking of updates, we got to talk some Penguins. Penguins haven't turned that switch on. I've been watching each game, and it's been so unsatisfying watching it and disgusting that the Islanders have just taken it to the Penguins. I don't care what Sullivan's changed up or what he's done. The players on the Penguins aren't really producing. And the Islanders are taking the game away from them each time. They're dominating the game with their style.
You watched the first 3 games of the series, and I watched a fair amount of the game Sunday because I was in the process of getting rained out, and I was waiting out the rainstorms. But it appeared that the faster and the faster team is the New York Islanders, that they play with more desire to win, and it seemed like right in front of our eyes.
Put
that
it
the
like
Penguins
this, they're
got old
grabbing
and
it.
slow.
They're taking it away from us. Not that the era's come to an end, but the Islanders are just taking it to the Penguins and showing more spunk.
And you know me, I like to be a bit sarcastic, but I have had no problem finding Evgeny Malkin this series. He's usually in the penalty box. When is he going to learn that as a goal scorer, a former scoring champ, you can't score goals from the penalty box?
It's difficult.
He continues to make the same foolish mistakes. He gets goaded into retaliating, and then he ends up spending time in the box. And the Penguins just. Playing a man down, you can't play
tough.
your game.
No, we gave so many penalties away, and it's just terrible that we're not playing with the same desperation, I guess, that the Islanders have.
No, they're playing like they want to win.
Yeah.
And,
you can see the difference.
Yeah, you can. So far, first period, we got no score in the game. Let's see here. Oh, wait. The Penguins scored 1-0.
All
Goal
right.
scored by Jake Getzel, Sidney Crosby, with the assist to Jared McCann.
Those guys needed it.
This is what I put out on a post on Saturday morning, and I said if the Penguins don't jump on the Islanders early in Sunday's game, it's going to be a short series, and they didn't.
Sure.
And, they went up 1-0 real quick on the Islanders on Sunday, and then within 90 seconds, the Islanders had scored 2 goals because of sloppy play and turned the game around. And it basically, from what everybody told me, it sucked the air out of the
in the third period, it was just a terrible game to watch because it was all Islanders, and then they were scoring, and it was just terrible. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a tough game to watch. I'm a Penguin fan, and I believe in them. I think we could win tonight, and we'll see what happens after that because they have to turn it around. The players have to play. We have all these offensive scorers. They have to score. We need shots on the net. We need pucks in there. Hornquist has disappeared. Being on the third line, he's totally disappeared there. You don't even see him.
Yeah, he's
a non-factor.
Since he signed his big contract extension, he's disappeared. And if the Penguins do ultimately end up getting bounced tonight and lose this series 4-0, what kind of changes will the Penguins roster undergo?
There'll be some, for sure.
There will definitely be some changes, and I think part of the problem with the Penguins roster is that the players that the Penguins have so much money tied up in so few players that the players that they may need to move, they may not be able to move because nobody wants to assume those contracts.
Look at the down year that Malkin had. What are you going to get for him? And he's 33 years old now.
Tied game now. Islanders just tied it up.
You shouldn't have looked at that, Chip. Forget about that.
This is the way it's been the entire series. Every time that the Penguins score, the Islanders score right away within 30 seconds.
Yeah.
They've tied the game up. So.
And that's the frustrating thing watching these games.
Because the Penguins can't ever score a couple of them in a row.
No. Just get that second one in. And then we don't. And
the game's only 2.5 minutes old.
Yes.
It's only 2.5 minutes old, and we're tied back up. So, it's an even slate.
Go Pens. Go Pens.
Yeah,
we need help.
Yeah.
Maybe that number 1 line will come through again. We
shall see. There's a reason why they play the games, right, Alan?
Oh,
but
as we know, you need 16.
Now getting off, we've talked about the Penguins. We've discussed the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah.
Last night, something happened in the NBA that's never happened before.
I missed it. What happened?
What happened? The defending 2-time champions, Golden State Warriors, were playing the Los Angeles Clippers. And in the second half, they had a 31-point lead.
Wow.
And lost the game.
No way.
There's the biggest comeback in NBA playoff history.
That is a big one.
You want to talk about blowing a lead? That's worse than the Falcons did to the Patriots in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
No, that is. Wow, 31-point lead with the talent of the...
In the second half.
Wow.
So, the amazing things are happening, and like I said, being down 3-0 is not where you want to be. It's improbable that you can come
There's
out
always
of that
a
hole,
possibility.
But there is a possibility. But it's interesting, the last time that this happened, when the Penguins played the Islanders, they were playing at Nassau Coliseum.
Sure.
The Islanders have not been playing at Nassau Coliseum
all
year, but because of scheduling, they are playing. This is the last series that they'll ever play in the old Nassau County Coliseum. So is there any magic left in that old building?
Maybe lightning can strike for the Penguins.
Well, we can try.
We can remain hopeful. Why not? We're sports fans and we love our teams.
Yes, we do. And we are passionate about our sports. So...
No, I miss Smoking Jim because draft day's coming up.
Yeah, we've got the draft coming up. The Steelers
have
10 picks in the draft. And, there's two inside linebackers that are on everybody's wish list.
Both Devons are going to be gone.
Devin and Devin, and they're going to be gone by. So that means what are the Steelers going to do? Now, I know I asked this question to my dear friend Jim Frazier, and he seems to think that the Steelers might pick up Greedy Williams, cornerback out of LSU, who seemed to impress a few people at the combine. But, football in shorts, I'm not very impressed with. I want to see somebody on the field. I want to see somebody, if you're going to...
Hitting somebody.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing about a cornerback, and the thing I loved about Rod Woodson, is one of the greatest quarterbacks to play the game, but he was not afraid to take on a running back. And he never had a problem getting his... The thing I never liked about Deion Sanders, his game-worn jerseys...
Did he tackle anybody?
Yeah, his game-worn jerseys... didn't have any grass stains on them.
No, except on their back a couple times.
So the Steelers have 10 picks in the draft, and what will they do? Will they try to attempt to trade up?
I don't know if they can even do it because it may not get a higher pick.
Well, because it all depends. Where they decide to try to move up is who do you try to make a deal with? Because when you're doing a draft. It never falls the way that you anticipate it does.
Right.
So if so and so goes to this team, then you do this. But if you have a deal made with somebody and the guy that you wanted is already gone, then there's no sense in making the deal.
No, that's why I'm a little bit worried because they're saying both Devons could be gone by the 6th or 11th round.
Yeah, they say that. But I'll tell you one thing, and Jim, Jim will give the Steelers a D- for their draft
We expect
grade
that, yeah.
For this year. He's done it every year. He even did that in 1974. But anyhow.
Was he old enough then?
I'm sure he's got it written down somewhere. But, the Steelers have been uncanny in their ability to pick up future Pro Bowl wide receivers in the late rounds of the draft.
3rd round, 6th
Antonio
round.
Brown, what was a person that they
Sure.
did that. There's been a number of success
Even Hines
stories.
Ward was
Hines Ward, who, in my humble opinion, I feel that, he should ultimately end up in the Hall of Fame, but because of the way that the game of football has evolved, his statistics are going to, he'll get looked back. But if you think about what he accomplished, and I mean, he didn't have Tom Brady or Ben Roethlisberger or Peyton Manning thrown for him. And he had people like Tommy Maddox, Cordell Stewart.
Yeah.
Who was the other one? Mike Tomczyk. He had some really bad quarterbacks pitching him the ball. He still managed to get 1,000 receptions.
Sure.
And he was the best blocking wide receiver in football. They changed the rules because of it.
Sure. And then you got to look at how many Steelers are in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
because that could hold him back. Look, we can't get Faneca.
I think it is holding Faneca back because I think Alan Faneca, 9 straight Pro Bowls.
He should be in.
There's no reason why he shouldn't be, and I don't know what's keeping him out.
Donnie Shell, too. Put Donnie in.
Donnie should have been. Well, Donnie's a product of that 70s team. They finally said, that's it. L.C. Greenwood should have gone in.
Oh, there's another.
Hollywood Bags.
Yeah.
They both should have been in the Hall of Fame, and they had so many members of that team. They were like, we can't put the whole team in.
Hey, they earned it. They did it the old-fashioned way. They worked hard.
Donnie Shell could put a lick on somebody like nobody else.
I remember those hits.
Earl. What was it?
Campbell.
Earl Campbell. Yeah, he broke his ribs in that game. I'm telling you what, when he hit him, I felt that in my living room. That's how hard he hit.
You couldn't help it. Yeah, and that's before HD TV.
Yeah, I mean that was that.
You could hardly see it on that grainy screen.
Yeah, well, with the rabbit ears. Hey, you had to stand there and hold them up, but anyhow.
Wiggle it a little bit.
So the Steelers have, I think, really with this whole Antonio Brown debacle or debacle, however you want to pronounce it, is that the Steelers ultimately ended up coming out on the better end of this. And just think about this. Somebody as talented as Antonio Brown had become such a cancer that the Steelers were willing to eat $21 million of dead money against the cap just to make him go away.
Sure.
And I think ultimately the Raiders are going to be sorry they have him. He's a cancer. all the national broadcasters are
Well,
just...
he can't help himself. He's lashing out over stupid things to get attention on himself.
Well, because you know what? Ever since he got traded, nobody cares.
No.
Nobody, and
We'll
here's
see you
what
in the
happens.
season. Yeah.
And here's what happens. If you get to the 10th game of the year and he doesn't have 120 catches and 15 touchdowns, what do you think is going to happen? Who's he going to start
An
lashing
explosion.
out on?
There'll be an explosion.
And Gruden's going to have nobody to blame but himself, and then maybe the Raiders can eat 25 or 30 million in dead money to make him go away.
They could do that. Yeah.
But,
they could do it.
But I think ultimately Gruden is not as smart as he thinks he is.
Whoa!
But
you heard it again first there.
Yeah, they've got 3 first-round draft picks, and I'm going to tell you something. First-round draft picks are not guaranteed.
No.
Look at Jarvis Jones. Top 16
Too slow.
draft pick, and the guy was a bum.
Yeah.
There's been so many cases of people that were drafted high. I personally think you get the lower round draft picks, and you get these guys that are hungry and they want to prove something, and they'll put in the work. You get these.
Look at running backs and wide receivers; they're almost a dime a dozen.
They really are, and I think Le'Veon Bell learned a very humbling lesson. Was that you weren't worth nearly as much because look at the Steelers had a Pro Bowl running back without you this year.
Sure.
So was that a product of the offense?
And he can also catch the football too.
Yeah, you know what, and
But it shows hard work does produce results. You got to give Antonio Brown credit, except for the 2-cent brain outburst that he makes.
Well, and I do admit, I do admire Mike Tomlin for saying this. If they don't want to be here, then we don't want them here. I want guys that want to be here.
Yeah.
Okay, it's that simple. Okay, so instead of trying to, put up with their shenanigans, you know what? There's plenty of people that are going to be proud to wear the black and gold, get a chance to play in the NFL and make their mark, and the Steelers are going to move on. They're still going to win a lot of football games. Here's the interesting thing that I think. Everybody has already anointed the Cleveland Browns as the AFC North champions. And I just think that's almost laughable, okay? On paper,
what have they won?
The Browns have a really nice team on paper. Last I saw, paper don't win football games. And besides that, they're the Cleveland Browns, for crying out loud. Look what they've done in the last 20 years. Everybody says Baker Mayfield's the next coming. Well, let me tell you this. The one game of the season that they needed to win, what did Baker Mayfield do on the final drive when they needed to score? Was that a little choke job that I saw there? I think more to come.
Sure. No, those things will happen. You just never know. He might be a leader, and he's loud and boisterous, but you don't win every game. You need a team in there.
Well,
you got to have a team.
I think it's too many egos on that team, and I think you just they don't mesh.
No. That's true. Well, it's coming attractions. We'll see what they do with Big Ben. They got to sign him. We got to get that extension.
That'll
there.
Get done.
Whether it's 3 years or 4 years, we'll have to see.
Whatever it's going to be.
That's a coming attraction. Some draft talk. We'll have that coming up. Go Buccos. Go Pens. Hopefully, go Pens. We're just about out of time here. Thanks for watching our show. Say a couple prayers for Smoking Jim Frazier. This is Al Levine, the Talking Machine. I'm signing off. Say goodnight, Chip.
Good night, Chip.
And we got to have a little bit of fun here. We've been doing this 7.5 years, and we end each show with Stay Joey Strong.